Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Jujutsu Kaisen. Unlock the 8 secret arts at the start. Chapter 56. A plan faintly appeared in Ryuiki's heart, and a smile was unconsciously put on the corner of his mouth. The smile was obviously warm and jade, and indeed, for some reason, she chilled all over her body. I thought to myself, without knowing, what the unlucky man had offended his nominal boss. By the way, the cursed tool that you asked me to inquire about has news. As if something rang out, he later realized that he raised a finger. Remembering that before, Ryuiki was rare and generous once, and actually gave himself a large sum of money to inquire about cursed tool, and even thought it was a bit strange. However, Shire is a truly smart man. He didn't leave the house of all things because he kept his promise and said that if he worked as an employee for Ryuiki for 3 years, he would not regret it. But he never asks why Ryuiki's body has no curse power, but can have so many layers of jujutsu. I wouldn't ask. In Shigazawa that day, in addition to the cursed spirit who was attached to the body of Dai, there was also a cursed spirit who was not inferior to the opponent. Why would he listen to Ryuiki's orders? Just like Ryuiki, he has never been curious about why he became the son-in-law of someone else's house, and he will never mention the other party's son in front of Shire. There is an unspeakable understanding between these two equally proud and powerful men. I found it. Which one? 8-foot Chonguyu, or 8-foot mirror? Ryuiki asked quickly. The cursed tool that seals the 8 different serpent is an extremely hidden problem in this world, and even the group of Yuanlahui guys felt extremely shocked when they learned that they had named the 8 different serpent. But as a traverser, Ryuiki knew about it in his previous life. This guy, divided into 3 seals, originally wanted to let Share go to the dark forces to explore with the mentality of giving it a try. But I didn't expect it to have something. The grass pheasant sword, the 8-foot Chong Jade, and the 8-foot mirror are the 3 artifacts that sealed the 8 different serpent in previous legends. In this world, there are still 3 cursed tools that have sealed the curse of the serpent. It's a coincidence, and it's inevitable. Oh, are you talking about Ba Kai Chonguyu? I know that. In the room, apart from Kaishir and Ryuiki, a third young boy's voice suddenly sounded. White-haired sunglasses, unparalleled style. Gojo Satoru suddenly appeared on the sofa at some point, holding Ryuiki in one hand and a piece of cheesecake in the other, and ate unceremoniously. Click. Ryuiki slapped Gojo's arm on his body and glanced again, wondering when the window was opened. Do you really know how to go? In this world, Ryuiki has not many friends, only 1.5. Gojo Satoru counts as 1, Shire counts as half. These 2 8-poles can't fight together, but the guys who have exactly the same thing are very similar in one thing. That is, can't walk through the door. Every time you enter the house, you either turn in through the window or jump in through the skylight. Ha ha ha. Don't pay attention to these details. Speaking of your taste, Fukong's cheesecake is the best in Tokyo. I haven't bought it for a long time in the queue last time. Gojo Satoru thought that he hadn't bought a cake for a whole day in the line last time, while gulping out the cheese for fear that Ryuiki would compete with him. The young master of the Gojo family, really laid back. Shire started to open a bottle of beer again. It was strange to say that, as if the Gojo family and the Zenin family were born at odds, Shire, the guy who was extremely bored with the Zenin family, was actually here. When facing the people of Gojo's family, he will still show inexplicable hostility. It's okay, after all, it's not as busy as the door-to-door son-in-law. Gojo Satoru looked at Shire with a bright smile. The appearance of a big sunny boy, but what he said, really pointed to people's hearts. I heard that your old man's eyes are blind, isn't it true? I also heard that the son-in-law at the door cannot give birth after giving birth to the first child and will be castrated. Is it true? Both of them have a smiling face, full of smiles. If you don't know, I thought I would talk about something happy. Only Ryuiki, who was caught between the 2 people, could feel that the anger of these 2 people was about to explode. He keeps talking, and looks like a dead pig is not afraid of boiling water. A smile keeps on, but the cut is definitely a super black tongue. Before the conflict escalated, Ryuiki hurriedly interrupted the conversation between the 2. Sir, there is no more wine at home. If you don't buy it, the store will close. Damn. As soon as the voice fell, she disappeared on the sofa quickly like a gust of wind. Sure enough, the window was blown by the breeze again. Run so fast, be careful of breaking your leg. Gojo Satoru said this, seemingly worried. But there was a deep expectation in his tone, and he seemed to want to see Shire's broken leg. Okay, let's talk about the news about Ba Kai Chong Kangyu. Ryuiki pulled the topic on the right track again. Didn't the Zenin family tell you? One of the prizes for the final winner of the Imperial contest is Bashachong Guyu. I thought you knew it a long time ago. Gojo Satoru also looked at Ryuiki suspiciously. Hearing what Gojo Satoru said, Ryuiki was silent for a while. The narrow eyes were slightly narrowed, and the moon-white eyes, like a bright moon in the sky, flickered faintly. In fact, when Ryuiki moved to Tokyo just half a month ago, Zenin's family had already found the door. As a veteran of Fusang, Ryuiki made no secret of finding his whereabouts. It couldn't be easier. Although the guy who came to visit this time can be said to be very humble and polite, but still unavoidable, the fate of being thrown out of the door by Cher. Ryuiki faintly, indeed, heard when that guy was struggling, what the other party was yelling, the imperial contest, the family honor and so on. But it didn't take it to heart. It's strange. I thought that the Zenin's family would send a group of flies to buzz in his ears, and they were all ready to swat the flies. But what I did not expect is, Zenin home really only sent someone here once, and never came again. Hey, no, looking at you like this, you don't know what Queen's examination is. Gojo looked at the thoughtful Ryuiki and opened his mouth very exaggeratedly, putting on a posture of, look at the hillbilly. Ryuiki, who has long been accustomed to Gojo's character, still has a few black lines on his head that he can't avoid. Please die quickly, okay. Ryuiki looked at Gojo Satoru with a smile, but there was indeed an inexplicable danger in his words. Stronger than Gojo Satoru feels a chill in his back. Said repeatedly waving his hands. Haha, I just made a joke, don't mind. Ryuiki gave Gojo angrily, but couldn't figure out why he became friends with such a frivolous fellow. P.S. The author said that the smell is not the same, do you think you are not frivolous? The Zenin's family seemed to have called me once, but she was thrown out by Cher before he finished speaking. Guessed. It really looks like a security guard did it. Gojo Satoru is really a super black-bellied man. At this time, I don't forget to belittle Cher. Then I'll explain to you what is the Imperial contest. Gojo took off his sunglasses and placed them on the table, revealing the pair of blue eyes. The so-called Imperial examination was originally at the end of the Warring States period. The world had just been unified. At that time, there were constant disputes among the major families. At that time, the emperor set the rules to ensure that the country would not be harmed by the fighting between the families. Every 10 years, the major families will compete in front of the king's frame. The ultimate winner will receive the emperor's award and the priority to obtain all resources during the 10 years. It can be said that the royal contest is a battle of honor between families, and it can even determine the prosperity and decline of a family. Quote. Gojo picked up a can of Coke casually, took a few sips, and continued. Until the Edo period, the birth of the Jujutsu division changed the pattern of the original family. The powerful Jujutsu division family outlawed the original family, and the imperial contest became a battle in the sorcerer family. Finally, when the tragedy between the Gojo family and the Zenin family was born, this 1,000-year-old contest, under the joint resistance of the two big families, completely disappeared into the dust of history. Hearing this, Ryuiki nodded slightly, as if thinking of something. Since the competition has been cancelled, why is it being brought up again? The Kamo family is the Kamo family. At a recent meeting, it was proposed to reopen the imperial examination, but this time it was not for resources and status, but to urge the younger generation of jujutsu teachers. The Gojo family and the Zenin family, because of the last veteran contest, generations are enemies. Now that someone mentions this again, the two families will naturally not be ambiguous. You should be able to guess the rest. This is the end of the story. Gojo Satoru believes that with Ryuiki's wisdom, there is no need to say more about the next thing. Regardless of the current Jujutsu world, Jujutsu Academy, Jujutsu Association, each working independently, carve up all kinds of outstanding jujutsu teachers, but once the three real dragons of Zenin, Gojo, and Kamo, their opinions will be unified. In the entire jujutsu world, there is no other way than recognition. The 3,000-year-old inheritance of the family, what kind of tyrannical power is behind it? This is a thunder pool that no force wants to spy, and dare not surpass it. Interesting, it's Kamo's house after the reopening of the Prince test. Ryuiki's words meant something, and Gojo also smiled slightly and didn't explain it thoroughly. One of the biggest gainers 100 years ago suddenly jumped out and made troubles, which inevitably made people think about it. Gojo Satoru suddenly thought of something, and suddenly looked at Ryuiki and said, "Oh, by the way, the Prince test was set before, but the 8-foot Chonguyu was added by Zenin's family later. Interesting, it's really hard work." A deep joke flashed across Ryuiki's eyes. In Tokyo, as long as the Zenin family thinks about it and sheer wants to inquire about that thing, they can't escape the ears of those guys. In order for Ryuiki to play in the name of the Zenin family can be said to have taken great pains. In order to gather the 3 magical tools and successfully perform the 8 differentiated snake, it is impossible for Ryuiki to give up the indispensable cursed tool. But if he was allowed to participate in the war under the name of the Zenin family, he felt uncomfortable again. Suddenly, he unexpectedly made his rare appearance a bit upset, his brows frowned unconsciously, and his teeth closed slightly. Perhaps I can see Ryuiki's entanglement. Gojo Satoru put down the coke, picked up the sunglasses again, took it up, and said, "The imperial examination used to be a battle between families, but it is different now, and it is no longer the era of Zongjin. Other forces besides the family are also eligible to participate in the competition. For example, the Jujutsu Academy, which has only emerged in recent years, and the Jujutsu Association. Among them, most of the students of Jujutsu Academy are family backgrounds. Those who are strong and powerful will inevitably receive signs of the family to participate in this battle for the family. The current Tokyo Academy. But still worrying about the candidates to play." Quote. Ryuiki naturally understood the overtones of Gojo Satoru's remarks, but he gave Ryuiki one more choice. Except for Zenin's house, it doesn't really matter where he plays. Anyway, his goal is only one, and that is Bakai Chongoyu, and he doesn't care about the rest. Rather than returning to the family that made him not attached at all, it would be better to cooperate with the high school. It's a good idea. Ha ha ha. Yaga teacher has always been thinking about you. If you agree, I'll talk to him later. Gojo Satoru took out his mobile phone and called Yaga Masamiki. Tomorrow, I will go directly to Jujutsu Academy to look for him, just to see how strong the so-called Tokyo #1 is. Well, there is nothing wrong. I will leave, or wait a minute, the gorillas should rush me again, bye. Gojo Satoru stood up, and the curse power burst out all over his body, like a cannonball, wrapped in gusts of wind, and instantly rushed out of the window and disappeared. In the huge room, only Ryuiki was left. Gorilla. It's really a bit like it. Ryuiki listened to Gojo Satoru's words before leaving. Suddenly a chimpanzee in a black suit and big sunglasses appeared in his mind, screaming and banging on his chest, and carrying a funny panda school bag behind him. This may be the worst time Yaga Masamiki was hacked. The autumn breeze is swift and the maple leaves fall. Ryuiki looked at the towering tree outside the window, thoughtfully, the corners of his mouth raised unconsciously, revealing his trademark smile. The current progress of dispatch of detained spirits is only 15%, and there is no way to provide him with any progress in recovering cursed spirits below level 1. In other words, if you want to upgrade dispatch of detained spirits, you must have a large number of first-class cursed spirits, and even more powerful special-class cursed spirits. Baki Orochi, the terrifying ancient demon god super cursed spirit, in the eyes of the world, is an endless nightmare. In Ryuiki's eyes, it is a big sweet pastry, which must not be let go. Cooperating with Jujutsu Academy is also a good way. If you want to come to Jujutsu Academy in Tokyo, where there are many families, it can grow to its current scale. Naturally, the means and power cannot be underestimated. In order to gather Curse of the Eight-Pointed Snake, Ryuiki weighed in his mind and made a decision. I will visit Jujutsu Academy tomorrow. With his mind set, he no longer thinks about it. The toes moved the ground slightly. The shadow beneath him rippled strangely, like a dead water. Woo! A figure slowly emerged from Ryuiki's shadow, white and black-haired, resentful, like countless souls entangled. It was the tempest that Ryuiki had regained. Or called special imaginary cursed spirit, temptress. From the end of the Warring States period, a collection of all ghosts and ghosts invented by monsters. In that era of wars and people's hearts floating, this strange story has left its mark on the hearts of countless people. The men who abandoned their wives in order to survive, and even sold their wives for a few bites of food, feared the tempest's revenge. The women who are women are afraid of the abandonment of men, and the girls who are maidens are afraid of the legend of the goddess. All these negative emotions are poured on the tempura who does not exist. At a certain time, a certain place. The haze from the nightmares of countless people, the ghost born from the dark and filthy negative emotions. Tempura is born. Just like in the legend, it devours the life of a man and drowns the heartbreaker with long hair. You don't love the concubine body, and the concubine dances for the king. The king said that long hair is beautiful, and the concubine is buried here. When human beings fear something illusory and non-existent, a hypothetical cursed spirit will be born. Rather than searching hard, it is better to create by yourself. But today's era is no longer the era of war. If you want to be born enough to evolve the negative emotions of the super cursed spirit, you can almost completely rely on ordinary strange talk. And even if it is derived, it may be the kind of 3-level cursed spirit similar to the flower coconut in the toilet. It makes no sense at all. If you can plunge the entire Tokyo into fear, plus the low-level cursed spirit that I already control as a sacrifice, it's possible to derive a special class. Ryuiki put his hands together on his chest and pressed his chin on it, considering the feasibility of the plan. The cursed object of the previous temptress can intensify the negative emotions that have just accumulated, and in less than half an hour, it can be incubated into a special grade. Although its strength is limited, it is also a real special grade. Moreover, generally speaking, unless a specific cursed spirit, the strength of an ordinary cursed spirit is worse than a hypothetical cursed spirit. If it can trigger the negative emotions of hundreds of millions of people in Tokyo at the same time, plus the cursed spirit he currently has, and sacrifice, Ryuiki is 50% sure that he can give birth to a super virtual cursed spirit. But the only problem now is, how can hundreds of millions of people have negative emotions at the same time? The joys and sorrows between people are not the same. It is very simple to make a person have emotions, but once this number rises to the level of 100 million, it will be a completely different concept. A crazy plan suddenly breathes in Ryuiki's heart. It looks like I found a way. Ryuiki stood up, walked to the edge of the windowsill, and looked at the ant-like creatures under the floor. He smiled. The smile made people feel chilly and frightened inexplicably. He put his fingers together, slowly raised, and then in the middle of the air, he was constantly dancing, as if he was depicting some obscure and incomprehensible text. A dark whirlpool suddenly appeared behind him, and as Ryuiki's fingers moved faster and faster, the whirlpool's spinning speed became more and more crazy. Dispatch of detained spirits dispersion. Ryuiki's eyes condensed, his brows frivolous, and his fingers were a little bit empty. At the moment, he only heard a strange sound of silhouette. The vortex burst out. Hundreds of curse burst out from the shattered vortex, rushing out frantically in all directions. Some of these cursed spirits are covered with eyeballs, some are covered with arms up and down, some are stained with blood, and some are like a puddle of mud. But I don't know why. Behind this group of weird cursed spirits, either black and white shadows loomed faintly, or it was a fascinating illusion with 9 tails constantly dancing. Bass, 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 bass. They dissipated into the sky of Tokyo extremely fast, and quickly left from the Ryuiki window. This scene is like the night of 100 ghosts, and like a demon coming to the world. If a weak jujutsu master saw such a scene at this moment, he might be surprised to drop to the ground, shaking his whole body. Ants often kill elephants. What's more, there are so many cursed spirits. With the disappearance of Hyakudo cursed spirit, Ryuiki returned to the sofa. Rumble. Tokyo, which was originally a clear sky, is now shrouded in endless dark clouds. The sky is constantly exploding and thundering, like Lei Gong is furious. Ryuiki in the room gently shook a goblet that he had taken out from nowhere. The red wine in the glass, the aroma of the wine, spread the whole room. The electric light flickered, illuminating the originally dark room. It was also reflected on Ryuiki's almost perfect side face. He lightly sipped the blood-red wine in the glass, with a slight smile on his mouth. The moon-white eyes reflected bright red ripples. In the night of the 100 ghosts, some people are happier than the ghosts, and some sit on the throne and see all beings as ants. Ryuiki, on the other hand, looks like watching an upcoming drama, with a playful and cold expression. Tokyo, Zenin's home. A man with white hair, dressed in a kimono, was lying lazily on the tatami, the maple leaves around him slowly falling, and the courtyard continued to play a melodious tune. It seems to bring everything back to the fascinating Edo period. The man kept pouring the wine in the wine gourd into his mouth, even if it was stained with cloves, he didn't care. Like a hawker, bohemian. His head full of silver hair leaned back, 2 long beards hung on his chin, and his slender eyebrows swayed leisurely. Makes him look a bit drunk. Master Zebi, do you really want to put the cursed tool like Bashachonguyu in the imperial examination? That is the cursed tool that the old patriarch personally put into the secret vault. Ying Yi looked excited, his face flushed. Opposite him, the drunken man is the current Zenin family owner in the big 3 sorcerer families, Zenin Naomi. Known as the fastest man in the jujutsu world. When Zenin Naomi heard Ying Yi's words, he glanced at Ying drunkenly for a few times, and then buttoned his ears. A thing that is placed in the secret room, which is about to become moldy, is also regarded as a treasure by you. Really, so small, not like our Zenin family. Oh, after saying this, Zenin Naomi knocked his head as if suddenly remembering something, and said apologetically. Sorry, forgot that you are not of Zenin's blood, ha ha ha, hoo hoo. After saying this, Zenin Zebi actually fell directly on the tatami and snored, as if completely asleep. Master Patriarch. Ying Yi's face was flushed like blood, but she still yelled unwillingly. However, Zenin Naomi, who had been lying on the tatami, seemed to have completely fallen asleep, snoring softly. Ying Yi gritted her teeth, trembling slightly. The teeth were shaking uncontrollably because of anger. But in the end, he had no choice but to kneel down on the ground again, and then withdrew from the courtyard. The contempt in Zenin's words, he heard it, and he heard it really. He is not a member of the Zenin family. Although he can earn respect through his strength, Keigaiki clearly does not have the qualifications. In the eyes of Zenin Naomi, such a real powerhouse and authority, he is a downright small character. Even no matter how hard I work, I can't compare to those Zenin family members. Even the opponent's strength may not be that strong, but as long as he is named Zenin, the opponent seems to be much more noble than him in an instant. When he was young, he worked day and night in order to one day stand openly in front of everyone, but everything he gave was like a joke in front of the 2 words Zenin. He will never forget the moment when he offered to represent the Zenin family to participate in the royal contest. The top of Zenin's family looked at himself with that look like a dog, as if to say more. Are you worthy? That I hurt deeply, and Ying Yi's self-esteem was extremely sensitive because of being trafficked by his parents since he was a child. Bang. Asshole. Why look at Lao Su like this? Lao Su is obviously 100 times stronger than this group of trash. Back in the dark room he had secretly constructed in the room, Keigaiki vented his anger on a puppet, using all his strength with every punch. Ah, I am the most talented person in the Zenin family. Bang. Accompanied by Keigaiki's angry blow, the overwhelmed doll instantly burst into 3 segments, flew into the air, and finally fell to the ground feebly. Ha, Ying gasped, her eyes flushed, like a crazy beast. Sudden. Behind him, a black mist slowly emerged, with endless treacherousness, continuously condensing in a corner of the room. The cold voice resounded in Ying Yi's ear like a ghost in the netherworld. Without Zenin Ryuiki, all of this should be yours. Without Zenin Ryuiki, you should have shined in the imperial examination, and you were awarded the name of Zenin. If there is no him. Ying Yi's eyes became more scarlet, his forehead violently, his whole body trembled unstoppable with anger, and his hands were constantly shaking, like a madman. Yes, It's because of that waste. A waste without any jujutsu. He is a liar. Fraud. Then, do you want to kill Zenin Ryuiki? Quack quack quack. Quack quack. A shrill cry of crows from nowhere echoed in the secret room for a long time. Dot 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 dot. Am I right? Zenin Ryuiki rubbed his nose and looked in front of his eyes with some suspicion. Before, a gate that looks very majestic and broad is old with history, as if the world had never moved before. Numerous red long ropes were intertwinedly hooked on both sides of the gate. Two towering pillars stood on the spot, with some mysterious characters carved on them. When people see the text, they only feel that their whole body is clear, as if all the troubles of the earthly world have been erased by some mysterious power at this moment. It looks like a majestic temple, or some kind of religious council. But no matter what Ryuiki looked at, he didn't realize that this is actually Tokyo Prefectural Jujutsu High School, hereinafter referred to as Tokyo High School. Before crossing, Ryuiki also watched Jujutsu Kaisen's anime, but it did not show the full picture of the school. I thought it was no different from an ordinary school, but I didn't expect it to be so much different. Had it not been for Gojo Satoru's curse, he would have thought he had come to a monastery. But, as expected, this school is not easy. Ryuiki looked at the mysterious writing on the stone pillar. I knew in my heart that this text seems ordinary, but it has magical power, the moment any ordinary person sees this text. The negative emotions in the body will be purified once, thereby weakening the progress of the birth of cursed spirit. Although this effect is negligible, it is also trivial. At least it reflects the attitude of Tokyo High School towards cursed spirit with only one exception. Even from the root cause. Just as Ryuiki tried to draw the gap between the words with his finger pen, a familiar figure appeared at the gate of the academy. The tall figure of Yaga Masamiki waved his arms far away, looking very excited. Ryuiki classmate, you are here. Ha 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 ha. I knew that you must come back to our college. Masamiki's bold voice shook Ryuiki's ears. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.